All right, here we go. Let's get this started. Get a quick sip of water before the beginning of this. Hope everyone's doing well. All right. Back live, baby. Let's get it. Got to figure out if this is plugged in. All right, let's get it. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Idols to Rivals podcast. This is episode number 35. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple Music, I appreciate it. If you're watching it on YouTube, I appreciate it as well. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel or on Spotify if you haven't, at Jack Hummell on all of it. Jack Hummell is my YouTube channel. Jack Hummell is the Spotify channel that it's connected to, so it should all be under the same name just to make it a little bit easier. And if you're looking on the YouTube channel, you can see I got a new picture to hang, not really a new one, but it was in a different spot of the house, and I figured, hey, I'd throw it in here. If you're listening on audio, it's a big poster. It says "Seek happiness whenever possible" and "Create happiness." I think, I don't know. It looks cool. If you haven't checked out the video, you'll probably see it, or you'll see it in the vlog. But yeah, like I said, at Jack Hummell on everything: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the big ones, Snapchat. Even though I feel like Snapchat's dying, ever since a couple of years ago when they added a whole bunch of stuff and like snap maps and things like that, I feel like that Snapchat's kind of been dead. I don't know if you agree with that, but I know it used to be where everyone was on Snapchat. I remember high school. I don't even remember when it came out, probably sophomore year, freshman year of high school. Back then it was the only thing. Like, people didn't even text. It was only Snapchat. And I feel like now it's getting away from just using Snap and getting kind of back to text, kind of back to Instagram, and using different platforms. So I think Snapchat will probably die soon if there isn't any major updates, if there isn't anything that goes along with it. But just wanted to get that rant over with. But yeah, so starting off how we normally start off, and kind of the format for it is talk a little bit about sports. So the football playoffs are going on right now, and my allegiances lie with the Buffalo Bills. I'm now, for this postseason only, a part of the Bills Mafia, because after the four falls of Buffalo, if you haven't seen that 30 for 30, go check it out. It's pretty great. And if you don't know and you watch football, I don't know how you wouldn't, but Buffalo lost 4 Super Bowls in a row consecutively, which I don't think anyone's ever been to 4 Super Bowls in a row, much less losing every single one of them. And so it's a tough time up there in Buffalo, New York, but I'm rooting for them this time. I'm either rooting for them or the Chiefs. I'm a Patrick Mahomes guy. I went to school with him for a little bit. Good dude from what I've heard. Never actually met the guy, but he played some great college games. And so the unfortunate part is they're both in the same league. They're both in the AFC. So one of them is only going to make it to the Super Bowl, unfortunately. And then the other two teams are the Packers and the Bucks. Rooting for the Packers. Don't really care about the Packers. Just don't want the Bucks to go, because I'm sick of hearing about Tom Brady. I've been hearing about him since past 20 years since I became an NFL fan. So I'm kind of done with him and his reign of terror and victory over the rest of the league. He's amazing. He's definitely probably the best quarterback of all time. And I hate saying that because Peyton Manning, I think, is the best player of all time, but I think he's obviously the winningest quarterback. He's won the most Super Bowls. He's been in the most Super Bowls, and I think been to the most championships, besides probably LeBron James in the NBA, just because I think LeBron went 8 years in a row or some crazy shit like that, 8 or 9 years in a row. But yeah, rooting for the Bills this time around. Let me know in the comments who you guys are rooting for, who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. I haven't really been into the NFL these past couple of years. While I was in college, I was more of a college football guy. And obviously, I mean, you're in college. But I'm kind of coming back to it. I'm kind of coming back to the NFL a little bit, not as much. I'm not as a fanatic as I was when I was younger. I used to watch every game, know every stat. I used to always get the packs of football cards that were like all whatever it was, 264 starters or players, and I could name almost every single one of them on every team. But times change. You don't have as much time to study them. You don't have as much time to watch the games, but not as into it as I have been in the past. But I'm kind of getting back into it after last season, whenever the Chiefs came back and won pretty much every playoff game and the Super Bowl. It was great to watch. I love seeing Patrick Mahomes, who is either second or third season winning a Super Bowl that young, is pretty awesome to see. And I think he hopefully will have a couple more in him and do well. So like I said, I'm rooting for the Bills. I wouldn't care if the Chiefs won either. Not really. My team's the Indianapolis Colts, and we got knocked out by the Bills the first round after we missed a field goal, which we've been amazing on field goals all year. So that kind of pissed me off, but it is what it is. Only one team can win the Super Bowl every year. So I'm excited about that. Basketball is up and running. March Madness is another thing that I want to talk about because I'm not the biggest college basketball fan, although the Alabama basketball team is killing it right now. And so it's kind of getting me into it. But March Madness has always been the thing that I've just fell in love with. And every March to the beginning of April, I'd watch every single game. I'd learn as much as I could in the month. And they just announced on yesterday, so on Tuesday. So the first 4 games are going to be March 18th. First round is 19th through 20th. Second round, March 21st to 22nd. Sweet 16, March 27th, 28th. Elite 8 is 29-30. And Final 4 is April 3rd to April 5th. And it's all going to be held in Indianapolis. So it kind of works out that I was just talking about being a Colts fan, but it's all at Lucas Oil Stadium or the Indiana Pacers / IU's stadium, but or arena. So it should be a good time. I think Indianapolis is one of the next cities to kind of explode. I see it as a Nashville, as a Dallas, those sort of younger cities. Everything that I've heard from people that are there, people that have moved there, from whether it be they lived in Texas, they lived in Alabama, wherever it was. I've heard it's a really good time, and so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about Indy getting some love and hopefully becoming more, like I said, a city more on the main stage. But yeah, so that's kind of update for sports news. Normally I'd go to like financial news, but with the inauguration and everything that happened today, I think it's going to fluctuate greatly. And so my stuff really hasn't changed that much. So I don't really have any updates, but something I wanted to talk about. I've been listening to Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights, which if you haven't either read it or listened to it on audio, I'm about halfway through it. And it's incredible. I was driving down to South Alabama whenever we were going to New Orleans for New Year's. And if you haven't checked out the video on the YouTube channel, I believe it's called New Year's in New Orleans. It's a fun time. New Orleans is crazy if you've never been. But whenever I was driving down there, I had a good 4.5 hour drive. So I got to listen to a lot of it. And Matthew McConaughey's crazy, but the good kind of crazy. He's a guy that risks it for what he wants. And that's something that I've been trying to preach in my own life to myself and to others, is just going after it. And he talks about, and this stuff, I don't know, kind of a side note, I don't know if people are like me on this, but I like hearing about the struggle, the grind. I don't like hearing about, okay, then I got this role in the movie, then I got this role in the movie, and everything just started rolling. That's when the momentum started. I like hearing about, when were you sleeping on the couch? When were you had nothing, you failed your auditions and nobody's talking to you. You have $5 in the bank account. That's what I like to hear. How did you go from 0 to 1 is the best way to put it. How did you go from having nothing to your first step? Not from nothing to everything, because then you skip over the details. I want to hear about how you didn't get that audition. You had to, so you couldn't eat for 3 days. And then you slept on a buddy's couch because you couldn't sleep in your car, because there's just things like that. I like knowing how you went from 0 to 1, because once you get the momentum going, the momentum is going to carry you. The momentum is going to help you out. And yeah, there'll be bumps in the roads, but you can kind of tell in these stories. I feel like a lot of them, they glance over the pivotal steps. They go from like 1 to 10 and 10 to 100. And that's not really what I like listening to. I like listening to, okay, how'd you go from an absolute nobody with no connections, with no money, to something? I want to hear those first initial steps. Did you do 1,000 auditions before you got 2 roles? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you couch surf? Did you sleep in your car? Did you wait tables? That's the stuff I like hearing about. I don't know if that's only me, but I like hearing about the actual tangible, tactical steps that you can take to follow your dreams, or to take risk and get after what you want. And I like hearing it from successful people, because obviously it worked for them. And just hearing about those low points of the doubt that everybody has. Everybody that's going for something, everybody that risks a lot to get what they want out of life, is going to have those down moments, and those moments of just like, I'm 2 seconds away from giving up. I have no money. I have nothing left. I got to move home. Just hearing about those stories, is what I like hearing about, and knowing that once you get to that level, you just got to hold fast and just keep going and just keep grinding. And I think it was Winston Churchill that said, if you're going through hell, keep going, because why would you stop in hell? It's just like once you're in that black cloud, it's hard to see the sunlight on the other side and to keep trudging on. But that's what I like hearing about in these stories. I read, I believe, like half of Steve Jobs' biography right after he died. It's a big ass book. I have it. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, this is my closet right here. I have it in there. It's a huge book. Another one, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I haven't started that one yet, but that is a huge book as well. And hearing about Steve Jobs is kind of his trudgings through the hard times and making things work, especially trying to sell a computer, trying to manufacture a computer in a computer company, whenever that wasn't really the mainstream thing. I mean, you had IBM, you had Bill Gates, who was in the infant stages of building Microsoft into what it would ultimately become, and just kind of putting that into perspective in our own lives. Whenever you think about, okay, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be an artist, I want to be a creator, I want to be a professional race car driver, whatever it is, it's like there's so many people that have done it before you that it doesn't sound as wild. Now, granted, it does sound more wild than, hey, I want to be an investment banker, hey, I want to be a manager at X company, or hey, I want to go down this accounting path, become a CPA. And so in that regard, it does, your dreams are kind of as crazy as some other things, but hearing people do something even more wild from even less is stuff that I really get a lot of value out of, knowing that somebody came from less, somebody knew less people, somebody came from a worse spot financially, family wise, whatever it is. Hearing about how they pulled it off just gives motivation to me about doing the things that I want to get done and the things that I want to achieve. So with Green Lights, it was kind of talking about, like I said, I'm about halfway through, and I listen to them because I'm starting to read more. It's something I want to get better at. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, I'm a terrible reader. It's like, well, do you ever read? No. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but it was just talking about finding your identity and trusting your gut. And Matthew McConaughey says one of the stories, he went to all these acting classes, and he went about acting as more of like a student, or more about like a tactical way of doing it and strategic ways of acting and getting in the method and things along that nature. But he said that he was like, I'm going to forget that. I'm going to go off gut instinct, which is what got me the job for Dazed and Confused, the famous all right, all right, all right. And he said, I'm going to go in there. I'm not going to read a single line of the script. And they're going to say action, and I'm just going to perform how I think. And I believe it's a movie about like drug running and smuggling and things along that nature. And he said 10 minutes or a couple minutes before they were about to say action, he's like, let me just look over the lines real quick, just to give my character a little more backstory. And sure enough, it was in Spanish. So he like called off. He asked for 12 minutes to where he could realize that the whole part he had was in Spanish. So he couldn't just wing it. And he goes on to talk about, I still haven't finished the full part of it, but he goes on to talk about how he took one semester of Spanish in 11th grade. So he was in the Hurt Locker, and he said he made it work, but the whole trusting your instinct and finding your identity, his identity was, I'm the guy that walks in there and knows what I read about the character. I know what the character is. I'm going to become that character, and how would he act, and kind of shoot from the hip. And so he says, you can do that, that's fine, but you got to prepare. And when you prepare, you have the freedom to act, you have the freedom to perform when you're prepared well enough. If you're not prepared at all and you shoot from the hip, you can screw it up, you can nail it, or you can just totally firebomb it. And so he was saying, you get the right to be free and to act how you want to act and to perform how you want to perform, whether it be not acting, studying, painting, whatever it is, job interview, whatever it is. You get the freedom to kind of go with your instinct, go with your gut, after you have properly prepared, after you have properly got yourself in the right mindset, understood what's expected, and then you have the freedom to kind of play within the bounds of what you think is right and wrong. And so whenever he talks about that, it just really got to me, because when you think about it, I'm more of, and it could just be out of pure laziness, I'm more of the wing it type, of the just launch and then fly, of just to jump out of the nest and just fly and figuring it out on your way down. But with that comes a lot of fun and a lot of the risk, but it also comes with, there's a lot of crashes and burns that happen. Just that's life. And so realizing that preparing to an extent will help you whenever you decide to embark on whatever journey it is, whenever you jump off that cliff and go for it. Preparing a little bit or a ton is going to help you navigate while you're trying to go down that path. And so that kind of puts something into perspective, because I figured that Matthew McConaughey was kind of like that. He seemed kind of like a just winging it, it'll work. And that's why I resonated with this book. And hearing him say, okay, well, winging it is fun. Winging it it feels right until it doesn't. But if you prepare, then winging it goes way further, and you can really get in the weeds and perform the way you want to perform. And so I took that as something I want to put in my tool belt, as something I want to use moving forward, is just preparing enough to wherever you can wing it. And I know it sounds counterintuitive. It's still kind of rattling around in my head, to be fully honest with you, on understanding what that is. But it's understanding your identity. It's understanding who you are and how you act, and playing up to your strengths. And being self-aware is something that Gary Vaynerchuk preaches. If you watch any of his YouTube or Instagram videos, he preaches all about being self-aware and knowing your strengths and weaknesses and playing up to your strengths. He's not really about right, wrong, or indifferent. He's not really about getting better at your weaknesses to an extent, but focusing, doubling down, 10xing on your strengths. And so being self-aware, Matthew McConaughey knows, okay, well, I shoot from the hip. But if I have a good basis, if I have a good understanding, then shooting from the hip is going to be a lot more fruitful if I know what I'm doing, if I know what's expected, if I know everything about everything. Then when I shoot from the hip, it's all going to connect and it's all going to work. And being self-aware enough to know, hey, I can't just go in there and wing it every time. I can't wing the job interview. I can't wing just studying for this test. I can't wing this competition, whatever it may be. Understanding and being self-aware enough to know that, hey, if you prepare for it, if you do the due diligence, then winging it will become a lot more fruitful, and you'll get a lot more success out of it. And just understanding who you are as a person, and knowing that with your strengths and with your weaknesses, maybe you're great at talking to people. Maybe you're an introvert, but you're good at scheduling, and you're good at organizing, and you're good at that part of, whether it be business, networking, whatever it is. And just knowing, okay, well, then either I need a partner who's extroverted and who can go talk to people, but I can organize, I can make the game plan, I can do the ones and twos, while someone else goes out and is more of the creative, more of the up in the air, more of the thought process person, or vice versa. And just understanding that you're not going to be great at everything. What is it? Jack of all trades, master of none. Just understanding, and trust me, I want to be great at everything. I want to be able to be like, oh no, yeah, I've got that in the bag. I have no problems with that. And just to every single thing, basketball, painting, whatever. But that's just not how it is. That's not real life. That's not how it is, and that's not how you're going to be successful. And so understanding that if you get a good team on your side, anything's possible. And there's countless stories. I was listening to the Self-Made Billionaire Effect, and it was about having people that are the creative and having people that are the producers, that are, like I said, the ones and twos, that are the sit on the whiteboard, plan out the week, plan out the month, and get the creative kind of tracks to follow, while giving them the freedom to do what they want. And understanding what your role is, understanding who you are. And it may not be the role that you exactly want. And if that's the case, then work on it. If that's the case, then maybe pivot and go down a different path. But understanding who you are, maybe you're the intellectual guy, maybe you're the creative guy, maybe you're the accounting guy, whatever it is, guy or girl, whatever it is, just understanding your role and knowing that if you get other people on your side that are better at what you're not great at, then you can 10x your guy's success, because 1 + 1 = 3. It's not okay. It's understanding that with those people, or learning the skills that you don't have. Like I said, Matthew McConaughey made that micro adjustment of, okay, I can wing it, but I have to prepare. I can't be doing this. I'll get a bad reputation if I'm just winging it all the time, and I screw up these lines, and I waste people's time, and I waste the money. I waste the budget on the studio and doing all of that. So he understood, okay, let's make a micro adjustment. I know how I am. I know I like to wing it. I know I like to feel the character rather than being a robot and memorizing all these lines and doing all these acting classes and being robotic about it. But understanding, hey, I want to be flow. I want to have flow. I want to understand the character. I want to be the character. But I also need to understand what type of movie it is, what the feel of it is, and how I can best implement that. And so just knowing who you are as a person is going to lead to a lot of fruitful gains. And I don't know why I keep using the word fruitful, but like I said, if you haven't listened to Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, it's a good one. And I'm only halfway through, so I'm excited about it. I think I have like 7 or 8 more books I got to listen to. And also I'm going to read more, like I said, actual like paper and pages reading, which I haven't done in almost a year, probably since quarantine started, which has been about 11 months, which is so crazy to think about. But brighter things are coming. Things will happen for everybody. Hope everyone's getting after it. I love everyone that DMs me and lets me know that they're getting after their goals, and I love seeing people just going for it. Having their job and then having their side hustle that's slowly taking off is super motivating, and having those people in your community, in your circle, in your social awareness, to where it kind of dips into your brain and gets you motivated to create things is awesome. Just a little bit of a shorter episode this week. I hope you guys had a good one. We got great things coming forward. We're 3 weeks in, 3 episodes in. I love it. We got the momentum. We're going to keep this going all year long. And like I said, if you haven't reached out already, reach out, talk to me. What are you doing? What are you up to? What are your thoughts on anything I say in the episode? I really appreciate it, and it brings so much joy to me. It's you wouldn't understand. But like I said, I appreciate you guys for listening. If you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, please do. That's my biggest goal, is to get that to as high as I can get, as fast as humanly possible, just so I can get better and better and better. I want to put out a bunch of videos, just knock off the dust, get better, learn the skills as quickly as I can to put out the best content for everybody and help entertain, educate, whatever I can do, motivate, inspire. That's whatever I can do to help people. That's all I'm going for. But I appreciate you guys for listening. If you're on Spotify, Apple Music, if you could leave a 5-star rating or leave a rating, I'd super appreciate it. And if you're on the YouTube channel, if you could like and subscribe and leave a comment, let me know how you think. But I've been your host, Jack Hummell. That's at Jack Hummell on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. And I appreciate you guys for listening. I will see you guys in the next one next week. Peace. Ooh, running out of gas there a little bit. But I appreciate you guys for watching. We'll keep it short on this episode. I hope you guys have a good one. We'll be back very soon, uploading more videos on YouTube. If you've seen them, we're keeping them up. Go check out the vlog if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys for listening. And if you're from the future, it's currently Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2021. If you're from the future, leave a comment. Let me know. Peace.